kutkot, where bodies are buried underground, but then the remains are exhumed and dressed in clothing and jewelry. Probable that if you're dating a woman from this area, you could actually go to meet her family and be introduced to a dead person.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. How you all doing? I hope you guys are doing great. Today there is another beautiful day. I'm back with another interesting video. I know you all are going to love to watch. In today's video, I'm going to be reacting on this video 15 weird facts about life in the Philippines. This video is going to be another interesting one. So sit back, relax and watch it to the end. But before I proceed, if you're watching me for the first time, you love my videos, you want to see more coming from the Philippines, hit that subscribe button right there. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you don't get to miss out. This time I bring beautiful videos like this to your doorstep. So without wasting much of your time, guys, let's dive into this video as usual. Watch it together and then react on it, okay?
I'm going to tell you about the ways that life in the Philippines might be very different from life in your home country.
Yeah.
Some of these things you might be familiar with, and others might shock or surprise you. If you ever lived here or spent a lot of time in my country, chances are you've seen these things firsthand, or have you? So sit back, relax, and enjoy a little tour of our unusual way of life. First, the dead. Filipinos are very concerned with not forgetting the dead and paying respect to them over long periods of time.
Wow.
We have many different rituals surrounding death, which can vary from island to island. But here's a strange one that's still followed today in parts of Luzon. It's the practice of kutkot, where bodies are buried underground for 1 year, but then the remains are exhumed and dressed in clothing and jewelry.
Wow.
The family then takes the body back to the village so it can attend a local tribal dance. Sounds suspiciously like a scene from Weekend at Bernie's. After the dance, the body is brought into the home of the family, where it stays for an entire year. So yes, it's conceivable that if you're dating a woman from this area, you could actually go to meet her family and be introduced to a dead person. At the end of this period, the body is carried to a cave where it's laid in its final resting place along with the bodies of other villagers.
Wow.
I've often mentioned how close Filipino families are, and now you can see that I'm not exaggerating.
Why you guys are so close?
It's also interesting to note that with traditional burials, cemeteries charge the families a yearly fee to house the remains, which are usually put in boxes like a mausoleum. But if the family runs short of funds, the bones of the relatives are combined into one box. If the family still can't pay for the box rental, the remains are tossed into an unmarked mass grave. So the concept of honoring the bones of the dead only goes so far.
Yeah.
And what about the living? Well, we have many of the same traditions as you do, but sometimes we still do them in a slightly different way.
Yes.
Take circumcision, for example, what we call tuli. Every summer, the government offers free circumcisions to the population, using modern procedures and healthcare standards. But many families believe that the traditional method, called albularyo, must be used in order to turn their boys into men. With this method, boys aged 8 to 12 years old visit a local circumciser who has them chew on guava leaves before performing the procedure with a sharp, curved blade of wood.
Excuse me? Oh, I don't think I have any
I
extra.
think it's done when you
Pierce our ears or something?
Afterwards, the chewed guava leaves are applied to the wound as the healing process begins. An overwhelming majority of 93% of Filipinos are circumcised, and 2 of my 3 younger brothers had to endure the traditional method. So I guess that means they're men now and can start supporting the family too. Wait till I'll tell them this wonderful news. How about unusual religious traditions? While some of these rituals are also practiced in other parts of the world, you're not likely to see them in many Western countries. Good Friday, the Friday before Easter, commemorates the crucifixion of Jesus and is supposedly a day of sorrow and penance. But residents of some Filipino communities take things perhaps just a little too far. In these towns, It's not uncommon to see residents literally being nailed to crosses by other citizens dressed in Roman costumes to prove their vows, called panata, with thousands of onlookers in attendance. On that same day, the streets may be filled with people flagellating themselves with whips or even blades as they parade through town. You'd think that life was tough enough here without adding infection and blood loss, but I'm just telling it like it is. Okay, I need a break from the heavy stuff, so let's talk about some lighter topics. How about public urination? Many of you that have visited my country might have been surprised when the taxi you got into at the airport suddenly pulls over to the side of the road on the way to your hotel. Nope, there's probably nothing wrong with the vehicle. It's just the driver needed to relieve himself right there in public.
Remember to aim.
This one is common in
Very
Africa.
Now, it is technically illegal and carries a 500 peso fine, but it's not really a big deal here as long as you try to find a tree or a bush to use and don't go waving it around at people. In return, no one will stare at you either.
You never look. It's a thing.
In many Western countries, you'd probably not only get arrested and go to jail for unzipping in public,
you can't try that here
but
in the
you're
UK.
likely to end up on a sex offender list, which means you can never visit the Philippines. So ironically, doing it in your country means you'll never make it to my country, where you see lots of people doing it. And some of you might have noticed that when you go to the beaches or public swimming pools here, most Filipinos enjoy the water, fully dressed. Yup. What's a relaxing day at the beach without pockets full of sand in your jeans? We do this for two reasons. The first is that it keeps the sun off of us as much as possible so we don't get too dark and unattractive. And the second reason is to preserve our modesty, which is kind of strange considering the number of people peeing in public, but whatever. And to add to the irony, at the first sign of a few drops of rain, most Filipinos will quickly get out of the water and seek shelter so we don't get wet. Now for a few things you might find interesting or amusing. Let's talk about Filipino gestures and what they mean. Have you ever asked a Filipino for directions? There's a good chance that your question was answered with the lips.
This is the one I love
We
the
use
most.
our lips to point with because pointing with fingers is often considered rude or aggressive. Raising our eyebrows like this is another way of saying yes. So if you encounter a pretty Filipina who does this, it is not an invitation for hanky-panky. We're just saying, yes, what you're looking for is over there. I might have just saved you a slap in the face and you can thank me later. In fact, we have a lot of ways of saying yes because Filipinos hate to say no. You can ask Filipino almost anything and they'll answer yes, no matter what you ask. Walk up to a Filipino and ask if you can borrow some money. And they'll say yes even as they get up and move away from you as fast as possible. Ask a Filipino if they've ever been inside the TARDIS, and you'll be amazed at the number of people who claim to be time travelers.
Fantastic.
We don't mean to deceive you.
Funny.
We just don't like the word no, which could also explain our population explosion. And if you ask us something, but we didn't hear you or understand what you said, this gesture means, please repeat the question. Okay, you got all that so far? Well, to make things even more confusing, here are some things that mean the exact opposite of what you think they do. When we say, we're saying yes, not no like it means in English. When we say, uh-oh, we're also saying yes, not announcing that we have a problem. And this gesture actually means come over here, not go away. If you don't know these signals and gestures, it can turn an ordinary encounter into a comedy routine.
Exactly.
Playing first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Oh my
I got
God.
there first.
This is so nice.
Well, what are you asking me for?
You'll also notice that Filipinos aren't big on eye contact. So if you're talking to us and our eyes seem to drift downward, it's not a display of disinterest or boredom. We just don't feel as comfortable looking each other in the eyes. Which is why many of you have commented that when I'm interviewing a Filipino, they often won't look directly into the camera. And their eyes and body language seem to suggest that they'd rather be anywhere else, which is probably true
It happens
too.
to everyone. It
And
happens to me a
finally,
lot.
here are a few random things about our society, things you might find different or interesting. Most Filipinos don't have bank accounts or credit cards. I know that seems strange to you because you're probably thinking, how can I pay my bills without a credit card? Well, the answer is cash and long lines. Every month, most Filipinos actually go in person to the electric company, wait up to 2 hours in line, and present cash in order to pay the bill and get a receipt. Then, of course, we have to repeat the process at the water company too. Even if you have a credit card, most utilities won't let you use it. So you either have to do it yourself or hire someone else to go stand in line for you. So what are we doing while waiting in line? Well, here's something that'll surprise you. The Philippines is not only the texting capital of the entire world, but we're also now the heaviest users of social media on planet Earth.
It's true.
Any of you that have dated a Filipina who's surgically attached to her phone probably isn't surprised by this. But how about this fact? A Filipino using social media spends an average of 10 hours and 2 minutes per day on sites like Facebook and YouTube. That's over half of our waking lives, which means we have way too much time on our hands. I don't see how that figure could continue to climb, but if anybody can do it, we can. So as you can see, the Philippines is an interesting mix of old and new. Centuries-old traditions coexisting with new technology, making a unique place to live or visit.
Honestly, there's a lot of things to learn about the Philippines. The one that shocked me the most is about the funeral ceremony, about the dead. Oh my God, you have to assume the body again and take it back to the village for another ceremony. This is very, very interesting, guys. And the circumcision as well. Like in other parts of the world, like in Africa, here in the UK, we do circumcision when you're still a baby. Like I did my son when he was like 3 weeks old. That was when I did his circumcision. Honestly, growing up to be a man before you do circumcision can be very scary, you know. All right, guys, I'm going to be stopping here for today. I think this video is really beautiful to watch. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section, okay? See you all on my next one. Bye.